What's going on, everybody? All right, I figured I'd just stop in since it's a nice holiday. We got no markets open. Well, crypto's always open, you know that. So maybe we'll look at some crypto today. Just gonna make a quick video. So, all right, so we got MU, which I've been watching. It hasn't been performing very great still since I last made my video, but I have been talking about buying the 63 to 64 area. I am still continuing to do so. You know, as long as it can continue to hold up down here, we should be okay. I don't want to see it starting to close back below, like 62.50 is probably as low as, we can get a wick below, but you don't want to see any candles close below. I think that we're getting close to a bottom here. We've been falling very slowly now. It's kind of starting to slow down a little bit. On the 15-minute, you can see we're starting to finally set up our base here. We had a little 15-minute double bottom. It's starting to finally put in a little bit of a 15-minute pattern here. We're starting to get a little bit of an uptrend on the 15-minute starting again. Higher lows there. And we just haven't made any new highs yet. So we keep making lower high. This was like same high, lower high, lower high. So if we can actually get a nice push out of this here, we can at least come up and test the upper portion of this wedge here that could be making on the 15-minute right here. So I'm looking for us to come up here at least and start retesting the 65. So 65 is going to be a big level, 65 to 65.15. And if we can actually finally break back above there, we should be able to start making our way up. If we go off of these two 15-minute recent wicks up here, this will be our larger resistance. And maybe we can finally break out. If we come up from here, we'll come up to touch to 67. 67 will be the key area here to finally break, depending on when we hit it, and then maybe we can get a breakout. So that's what I'll be watching. But MU, I personally still believe that we are doing a nice setup here to bring us back up and retest the 75 bucks. It's still taking a little bit of time, but we are going to eventually make our way out of this. So this is just like a long-term kind of setup. It's good to start buying these when they are on bear market range breakouts. That's how you make most of your money here. And this whole range was the bear market breakout right here. Right in here from June of 2022. Now we're getting into July. And here we are a year later retesting the range. This was the accumulation zone. Break out of the accumulation zone. And finally retesting, getting ready for a push. Whether or not we come to retest these highs, we'll have to figure that out. I believe we will. This was a huge double top that put us into a pretty nice bear market, but now you can see we're getting all this accumulation. So I don't think we're going to have to come back in and make another accumulation zone. That wouldn't make any sense to me. If we did, then MU will be building for even a more explosive move, but that would mean we have way more longer, possibly another year of correction. And I don't think we're going to be doing that. Personally, I could see us coming back up to test some of these highs again, and then from here, we got to figure out what's going to happen. So we'll have to see. This was a range breakout here. Range break that failed. And then we ended up continuing up after with a nice double bottom. But, obviously lower high right there and then explosion. So I don't think we're going to do the same thing as that. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. But MU, I think, is looking pretty juicy. And we should see some pretty high prices on MU in the coming months. Airbnb, don't remember if I talked about it last video or not. But I do have some posts on TradingView about it. We finally got the breakout of the range here. This 128.40 to 128 area has been huge. Will we have to have a little short-term, small little correction back test? Maybe, or we could just continue our chop up. We'll have to see what happens. But watching that 128.40 and then the 128 123 area got tested maybe once or twice, but we're kind of just putting in this little bit of a, slight uptrend. So I would just draw that out and see what happens with this. That's about 127.85 or so. But I think we're on a nice little bull flag here on a breakout. Draw the length of the pole, put it to the flat top breakout there. That should bring us up to about 153. And then this upper trend resistance I have drawn in off of these peaks. Whether or not it becomes, something that we have to watch or not, we got 156 to 159. That'll be the potential area to take a little bit of profits off, because we could get some correction, and maybe that would lead us back in to rebuy the 128, but that's totally up to you. But this is a very good, this one from April 2022 was when we fell in, and now here we are in July, so a year and a couple months later, we're breaking this accumulation zone. So this was the double top, lower high, fell in and under, and now we're getting ready to break back out. So we'll have to see where we end up going to. If we were to just kind of go off of where we double topped was all the way up at 211. If we put this trend resistance down, that was our breakout here, right about at this point of $100. Now we started making a lower high. Could be an inverse head and shoulders kind of setup as well. If we were going to go off of that, we could get a potential neckline from here. This is the head. Put the breakout. That brings us to about 159 right there for our target. So I like the 158.50 potential area. And then this old high will be a little bit of a struggle, but that was on earnings day. We tapped 145 and got a huge rejection. But I think we retest that, maybe get a little consolidation to retest some lows, and then we go for our move. We'll have to see how that plays out. That's Abnb. What else am I liking? Coin. Coin is okay. I got a better one than Coin. This one's little bit choppy. It's harder to see. But what we do have is a 185 to 190 area of resistance. This is an accumulation zone. We've had one big breakout of it that brought us to 120. Came back in. But we've pretty much been underneath this 75 to 78 area, where we are making some nice movement here. If this is a falling wedge, we could be looking at a falling wedge target up in here. But you can see from this 85 down to 78, this is a huge level of resistance. So we do want to see some consolidation happen somewhere between 85 and 78. And if we can do that and build a base of some sort in this range, that would give us potentially the go for start accumulating. I know it sucks if you haven't bought it down in this $40 to $50 range. I made a lot of plays in this chop, and I kept looking for breakouts, and honestly, I just never was able to hold long enough to get it. But I did have an average of about 53, 54 for a while, but I ended up selling out. So unfortunately, now I'm missing the move here. But that's okay. I'm going to wait and see if I can see something, maybe a close above 81 and some consolidation on the daily. We did have this occur up here from 85, holding as support. Then we broke and closed below this 82, and that was our signal into a bear market. Basically, came back up, retested it, 83 as resistance, and then we held below. So the 82.71-ish probably could be a good level to break above and hold as support. Once you start getting up into there, that's when you start knowing that, okay, maybe this is setting up. Not one daily candle body, but we want to kind of build something up in here. But we'll see how that plays out. One I really like right now, I just made a position on Friday. I didn't post it yet, is ROblox. ROblox is setting up. It is still in like a choppy range here. Whoops, I'm drawing all over my chart here. Sorry about that. It is still in this kind of choppy range, but we did have, all these fake outs where I circled. These are all fake outs. So the biggest key resistance, if we can break above what right now is showing the whole market. If we can break above $43 and hold above, we can get a solid breakout. The reason I know that this is going to be an explosion is because when you have a significant level showing as key resistance, the whole market's watching it. When that breaks through and closes above and holds as support, that allows people to feel comfortable in their trade, and they will go for the breakout here. If you drew a little, something like that, could be saying this is an ascending triangle. If we break out towards the end of it, that's about in the middle, start of August. If we make an early breakout, that could be anywhere from this week here. We got to break above 43. And then, I have like a kind of a resistance drawn in from this peak here to this peak here. And then if we can break above 45, confirm this with a daily candle above and hold, this could be the next big move. But I'm looking at, for now, if we target off of this ascending triangle breakout from the flat top, widest point of it, move this up. That gives us a target of 51 bucks. So if we drew a trend resistance right at 52-ish, then that would bring us right to about where we got a lot of resistance before. So I think we could be heading up to that point. And then if we end up getting a rejection, come back down, maybe retest that pattern breakout, and then go for our big move. And if you look on the daily RSI here, you can see how the RSI is showing the same thing. We have this resistance, so we want to see the daily close above here on the RSI as well. That could give us a little bit of confirmation that this thing is ready to finally make some moves here. So we have two key levels, the 43, well, let's say three levels, 43, 45, 52. I am already in this position. I started getting in down here. I got in around like 40, 50, and 41.10. So that's what I'm kind of doing, and I'm just going to put my stop loss probably down here about below the 37.50 or so, just to give myself a little bit of room, and that could give me a nice like long with a $20 move on like a $4 risk. So that's not terrible. Let's see. So that's where I'm at on this. I think we could be seeing, maybe a large symmetrical triangle being built, which would mean within the next, 3 months, I don't know how long it'll take, the overall target could be up here at 75. And that could be where we're looking at the next move. And you can see how this same 75 area has significance up in here. This was an area where we tried to hold support up here, and then we ended up rejecting, retesting it, and then on the big breakdown. So maybe this thing is working on this accumulation to go back up and retest the 75 area. So that's what I'm watching. Now, if we look over at Bitcoin, just to get into a little bit of crypto action, Bitcoin, we were talking about this on my trading view, how we had first support touch, second support touch, third support touch. We were looking at this as potentially being a bull flag of some sort, but it kind of looked more like a falling wedge. So we had a falling wedge. Target of a falling wedge is the top of the falling wedge. That's about 31K. And now we're up here at 31K. But we're starting to make a symmetrical triangle or a bullish pennant. If this is a bullish pennant here, then we would target the bullish pennant from the high wick down to the low wick right here. That's your flagpole. And then you bring it over. If I could grab it, we bring this over here and we put it up to see what is our next potential target. Our next potential target is up here at 37.6. Now I have a resistance line from these most recent wicks. 1, 2, 3 touches there, fourth touch here. So if BTC does get a nice push out, which it's working on it, but we haven't closed the daily above the symmetrical triangle, which is around 31,200. Close above this, remain above this, we get a launch up here, we could start testing up in this 32.9 to 33K. We could get a rejection there and then maybe build another consolidation off of this point here. That takes a little bit of time, and then maybe we go for the breakout. But for now, the 33K needs to be flipped into new support after we do the 31.2. Find support here, then we could say we are working our way up to potentially this larger long-term resistance somewhere up in this range here. Holy crap, I got it. And that was just based off of, these resistance or support touches. This was our kind of support trend line right here. Now it could be resistance, but we do have a very nice accumulation zone here. It's rounding off, so maybe it comes up to test this before inevitably maybe coming down for the double bottom. That's possible, right? That would bring us up as high as, about 41.2. But we'll have to see if we can even break through. Right now, this kind of looks like a rising wedge. We're getting closer to the resistance. That's 33K. If we got a rejection off 33K, come back into 28.5, maybe we finally flip this area where here we tried to hold this as support. Big fail. Came back up, poked our head above it, couldn't hold it, fell back in, found uptrending support. So if we are finally making support on top of this, that could be a bullish thing. Otherwise, rejection there, retest it, and then go up for the 43. And that would be a retest again around this 29.5 to as low as, depending on how it works out, 28K or so. But I'm not too sure how this is going to play out yet. For now, I have it a rising wedge. I'm not too concerned about it yet, but we'll see. But this is like my targeting up there. And then I could do some more crypto, but I don't feel like it right now. So I'm going to let you guys go. But if you guys want to do some crypto over the weekend, just comment down below, leave a like. Let me know if some stuff you want me to look at. But that's what I got for now. If you want me to look at SPY real quick, I could. This is something I posted on my trading view here, which, whether or not this plays out. Overall, we had that falling wedge. Everybody thought this was a, whatever bearish trend. I did as well. I was looking for a breakdown further from here, unless we popped above the 418, which we did. We popped above 418, started closing dailies above, finally got the explosive push. From there, we've gone up and we've touched the same resistance that we touched over here. Tried to hold this as support, failed the back test, which could have been a double bottom, but we weren't able to, make that happen. Fell back into the bear trend. Resistance on it here, pull up, resistance on it here, support down at the below. Now we're retesting it again, looking like it could be trying to put in a little bit of a double top, but with this market, we don't really seem to be doing much double topping. So if we do get a rejection up here at like 445, maybe it'll come down and start to make the similar setup that it had over here. Will it actually confirm it and rip for higher, or will it end up doing the similar setup as right here? That's something we have to kind of figure out, because we're at that point. So if it does come back down and it does find support, as long as we can remain up here above the 431-ish, then we should be good to continue up. And if we're going to continue, then we could be heading up to retest this, which is the height of the falling wedge, all the way at 480. That's pretty crazy, it seems, but the way that the market is looking, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't gone. It's just starting to break out of some ranges. So if this does correct further, at some point, a test of 418 wouldn't be a terrible thing, but I just don't know if we would, unless we just build like a larger, falling wedge structure or something. Well, yeah, I guess we could do like a falling wedge structure or something, which this would basically just turn into like, maybe it comes back in, makes a new low, comes back in, starts making higher lows. Then we make a bull flag of some sort over here, and then this ends up turning into a larger breakout consolidation that could bring us up. And it's also just possible we stay within this, rising channel that's been pretty good. I mean, you could pull this all the way up to here as well and say that this was a little bit of a, well, actually, you could do this off of these. And you pull this in and say, like, this was our support right here, right? Something like that anyway. Then we could just be staying in this kind of rising wedge, which would mean the next support, if we resist this 446, 445, come back in 426, chop around 435, 426, rip up, get a test of 460, come back in 446, maybe one more test for 470, and then eventually we break down from the wedge. That could happen. It's not out of the question. But if we break through this range, then that's where like things are really going to get crazy, because this 460 is pretty important. Drew a trend line across. This was an area of resistance up in here. Anywhere from 460 down to about, 460 really. That was that double top, kind of failed inverse head and shoulders. Put us in our downtrend. Are we heading back up to retest 460? Are we going to get another rejection off it that brings us back in? Or are we going to break out of it and find support? We couldn't find support on it last time. Maybe we're trying to find support on it on this next test. That's hard to say. But it looks like that could be where we're heading, honestly. But I wouldn't mind a little bit of consolidation, sideways action between 426 and 440. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But this would be my idea. I'll probably keep it on there and see what happens. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Have a great 4th of July.